Hello and happy Monday, my wonderful advocates. Uh, Today, when you're watching this, Monday marks 2 weeks since my surgery, so I'm getting stronger, recovering more and more. You are still in Coach Heather's lovely hands for the next little while. So, diving in for today, okay? A little lesson plan for you guys. Our focus for this week, you guys are really going to learn all about the physical and the Google Forms that we use in the advocacy form. Okay. Once you guys get into the swing of things, they'll become second nature to you guys. But we're going to use the next couple weeks to really understand each form, train you guys on each form, and then doing a lot of role playing with each form. Okay. Last week, I think you guys looked at some old case files. You'll notice that some case files are done completely 100%. Some case files may have been missing things. As you guys continue to train on understanding these forms, I still want you to go through those case files and, find what was completed to perfection, find what they were missing, what would you have done different, what did you like that they did. I really want you to use those old case files to really understand, what the purpose is and how previous advocates documented their work with each student they worked with. Okay. All right. So physical forms. By this time, the majority of you guys have been added to the drive labeled the LAC 2324 main folder. If you're having a tough time finding it, you can either click on shared with me and it'll pop up here by shared with you, or you can just go to search and drive and you can type in the LAC 2324 and that main folder will pop up. Okay. Um, if you guys missed a day or anything, I'm posting all of our lesson plans here for the next 6 weeks. But your main folder, I want you guys to just focus on is the advocates folder. Okay. So in the advocates folder, we have two different folders going on here. We've got the folder with all the physical paperwork we work with. And then down here, we're going to have our Google Forms that we complete. Okay. So starting with the LAC physical paperwork, these are the main forms we have so far, but the ones I'm going to go over with you today are all the forms that you'll need that are listed on our checklist. Okay. So this top one, this first one, is going to be the very first form on top of every single case. You're always going to put the student name, their UID, and then once it's all done and closed, you're then going to type in the date closed. Okay. Once you finish the LAC intake and feedback form, you're going to check that off. Once you put the LAC form in the Google, you're going to check that off. Once the whole case is done, you're going to complete an advocate form. You're going to check it off. All right. You're going to check all of these things off. So attached to the checklist is our administrative action form. Okay. We have things that are called dispositions. Now I'll get into a little more detail later on in the week on what dispositions are. How do you know which disposition to choose? But the disposition is mainly what's the action plan? Okay, you found out what's going on. What are you going to do to fix the situation? Okay. So the word disposition and what are you going to do to fix it, or what are we going to do to restore what happened, those go interchangeably. Okay, so really get that word disposition in your head. Everything from restorative dialogue, student apologies, we've got a daily attendance check. These are all sorts of dispositions. Okay, so whatever disposition you choose or the dispositions you decide to go with, you're going to check all of those off. All right, so again, this is the first form, the LAC checklist, and the administrative action form. The second form goes right behind this, is going to be your intake form. We have different intake forms for behavior, for attendance. We've created an intake form for, I think, lack of motivation or just a general one. So these are the questions that kind of target around those restorative questions you've been practicing. Okay. Top to bottom, this is just how you're going to get information. Okay. You're going to fill out this information. You guys are writing this out. So you're going to have a paper form. You can give the student who you're seeing a copy, but you guys are writing the answers. Okay. So question number 1, what happened to cause you to be referred to the LAC center? It will be their words. If they say, I don't know, dig a little deeper. Okay. Uh, Question number 2, what were you saying or doing that led to your referral? Obviously, this is a referral for behavior. So they were doing or saying something, right? Number 3, what did the teacher or staff do or say in response to your actions or behavior? Number 4, what was your response to the teacher or staff giving you a referral? Number 5, who was affected by your behavior? And number 6, what do you think needs to be done to resolve the issue? Now remember, guys, our goal is restoration, right? So the 3 main things I want you to remember is we are encouraging students to talk about what they did. We want to hear it in their words. What happened? Second thing, we want them to take accountability, okay? Finally, we want them to decide, hey, what can I do to make things right or to make this right? So each time, every time, this is our main focus. We want them to talk about what they did. We want them to learn to take accountability for their actions, and we want them to understand what they can do to make things right. So when you go back to that intake behavior form, right here, they're talking about what they did. We're talking about uh, taking accountability. I forgot one in there. I'm sorry. I'll leave that for later. And then lastly, we're talking about what can they do to make things right. Okay. You guys are going to have a lot of practice with this form. You'll have a lot of practice with, just questioning and getting comfortable to pull more information out. Your next form you're going to have done in the same day is called our student feedback form. Okay. We need to have something to push out to teachers, um, just some insider information, something that happened while they were at the LAC. So once this is done, we'll be able to shoot this information out to the teachers. Okay. We want to ask them, hey, was this helpful? Do you feel like the line advocate genuinely listened to and heard what you had to say? In the future, would you be willing to meet with an advocate again? And then what staff member do you feel you feel most comfortable with talking to? Um, then these next ones are just checking one. What's a goal you have is return to class? What's one thing you can do to be successful at meeting that goal? What support from staff and recommendations? Okay, so those are the 2 forms you fill out every single time you meet with the student for the first time. Your next form is the form about you. I want to get your guys' input on how you feel the case went. Okay, so we have input on from the student. How do you feel? So the questions here for you to answer: the student was engaged during the initial meeting. The student responded well to the interventions. The student completed a check-in, check-out form. The student was engaged, and I handled this case to the best of my ability. Now, on other notes you put down here, these notes are good for when this student does get referred to, they get referred again, and maybe another advocate sees them. So if you write, hey, Sarah is really quiet and shy at first, but when we started talking about anime, we had something in common. She started becoming more comfortable. So this is just kind of maybe some strategies that helped you with this student, anything like that. Okay. Lastly, all of your physical paperwork is done. You're going to go over to your the Google form down here. Once you open it up, it's going to look like this. And this is the main file for it. Okay, these are the main questions. So you'll notice these questions go hand in hand with the questions that are on the intake form, as well as on the student feedback form. All right, so these aren't any new questions that you're trying to figure out or ask. They're all questions you already asked in the intake. So you just go through, you'll type in the date, student's name, ID, their grade, period, your name. So you'll just go through and you're just going to mark all of the information that you already gathered, okay? Same questions you've already asked. It's nothing new. You're just going to mark all of this. In order to create the form for them, though, this is really important. If you haven't been paying attention to all this whole video, I want you to pay attention now. This is the main form. This is the main source of all of our documentation, our data, and everything, okay? Each time you go to make a new form, you need to hit the send button. You need to hit this little paper clip. I call it the paper clip because I think it's a paper clip. So you click paper clip. We're going to copy this whole link right here. All you got to do is click copy. You're going to paste that into a new form, okay? Or into a new URL. We're just going to paste that there. Now you'll notice you can actually type on this next form. So type in all the information, put in the date you saw them, the student's first name, the student's ID, the student's grade, what period you saw them, your name, and so forth. Okay, you're going to go, you're going to put all of this information in, then you're going to hit submit. This helps us keep track, gives us some data on everything. Okay, I'm spitting a lot of information out at you, but again, you guys are going to do this probably for the next week. Okay, you're going to get used to documenting, you're going to get used to putting this into the form, and then once you guys are comfortable with the forms, later on this week, you guys will be doing some role play. Okay. Some things that we're going to be covering. I know you guys had some questions about, hey, what happens when they talk about self-harm? What happens when they talk about maybe, wanting to commit suicide or hurting somebody else? That's a big, big, big thing. I'm going to make a separate video for that because I want you guys to have that as a focal point, in regards to what you need to do, because what you need to do is probably different than what you're wanting to do. So, anyway, guys, have a great week. Sorry I can't be there for you, but you're in great hands. Have fun with the class, guys. This is unlike any other class any high school gets to take. So enjoy it. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.